I would like to introduce the so-called 4 treasures of the study, the main tools for calligraphy. The first tool is a brush. The Chinese calligraphy brushes are mainly made by animal hairs. We can divide the animal hairs in 2 big categories. One we may call stiffer tuft. The other one we may call soft tuft. And the stiffer one usually are made of whistle. This is whistle's hair, and or rabbit's hair, even stiffer. And then for the soft brushes, we use mainly sheep's hair. You can see very, very soft. But also sheep's hair usually longer. So for the big brush, we use the sheep's hair quite often. So different brushes can produce different results. For smaller characters, in most cases, calligraphers would use the stiffer brush. For instance, the brush of rabbit hair and the brush of whistle's hair. So I will demonstrate with the different brushes later. The second material we use is paper. We can divide paper into 2 categories too. One we may call treated paper. And so the surface is fairly glossy and very, very smooth, and is less absorbent. So you can write calligraphy actually fairly fast. Before the Ming Dynasty, most papers calligraphers used actually were this kind of treated paper. So if you go to a museum, you can find this kind of paper of ancient masterpieces. After the Ming Dynasty, untreated papers were often used and produce different results. So the untreated paper, in most cases, are very absorbent. Some papers are made by rattan. Some papers are made of bamboo or sometimes straw. Probably the best material for paper making is the sandalwood tree. So this is especially produced in Anhui province. So calligraphers like to use this kind of paper. So today I bring 2 kinds of paper. One we may call the treated, with a certain pattern printed on the surface. The other one is untreated paper, very absorbent. When I write small characters, I would write on this paper, and when I write the big character, I will write on this untreated paper. For ink cake, we call that. In ancient time, they try to use ink cake to make ink. You pour the water into the ink stone, and then grind it. When you grinding the ink, which is actually very time consuming, calligraphers would read the masterpiece sometimes to study ancient masterpieces if they want to copy the masterpieces. In 19th century, ready-made ink could be purchased in stores. And in the later 19th century, actually they tried to make machines to help them to grind the ink, because to write big characters, I will say that sometimes you will have a attendant to grant the entire day, and then to make enough ink to write a big piece of calligraphy. So it's very time consuming. So what the materials the Chinese ink are made? Pine tree shoot. They burn the pine tree and collect the shoot, and then use glue. They put into a mold, and they actually pound it at least for 6,000 times, and sometimes even 30,000 times. Why they need to pound so many times? Because the density will affect the result. Otherwise, you put it in the water, it will become soft, and then you will have bubbles, you will have the small particles, and it's not very, very good. So actually, scholars paid great attention to three things actually among the four treasures of the study: brush, ink, and paper. In fact, brush and paper are the most important tools for writing. For ink stones, there are two places that make good ink stones. One is in Guangdong, we call the Duan ink stone. The other one is Shexian in Anhui province. They also make very good ink stones. But ink stone became a kind of object of appreciation. Very few literati actually participated in making ink stones. But in the Northern Song Dynasty, actually many great calligraphers were very enthusiastic in making paper, brush, and ink cakes.